Hello everyone and welcome to another Fallout 76 news update. Todd Howard did an interview at E3 earlier today, and while he didn't answer most of the questions I still had about Fallout 76, he did answer some of them. But before I begin, remember that I'm going to be making many more videos about Fallout 76 in the coming days, going over everything we know about the game so far, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and click that bell icon below this video so you get updates when I upload new videos. Also, go follow me on social media to keep up to date with what I'm up to. The links for those are in the description below, as well as the link to the Todd Howard interview if you'd like to see the whole thing, since I'm only going to be talking about the relevant parts in this video. Alright, so let's get into it. So the number one question I've seen people asking, and indeed their number one concern, is will Fallout 4 be exclusively online, and will there be a single player only option, or will we always be in the game with strangers? And this is what Todd Howard has to say about it.
So there's always PvP, like you can never,
Well, first of all, I'd say we're still dialing that.
Okay.
We don't want it to be griefy, but we want to have some drama there.
Okay.
So there is a way that you can decide to do PvP, and we are currently balancing kind of the incentives for someone who wants to be very aggressive to people and those who want to ignore it.
Yeah.
And that really comes down to, you know, the in-game incentives and then also the social incentives. But I would say we don't want it to be griefy in any way.
Okay.
And we'll dial it in so people can say, look, I don't want to deal with that.
So you can pick. It's like I don't want PvP.
Well,
you want a little bit of a little fear, I guess.
We want a little bit of drama there without them ruining your game.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So it sounds like, at least at launch, there won't be a strictly single-player option where you can have your own private game world. And I say at least at launch because he does mention something later on that makes me think that might change in the future. But we'll get to that in a moment. So while you can play by yourself, meaning without friends on your team or whatever, you're still in a public server and you'll still see other players who are strangers, and you can interact with them or ignore them, your choice. Whether or not they ignore you, you know, that's another thing. It does look like Bethesda is aware that people can give other players grief in an online game, which I'm glad they're aware of that, and I mean, you'd have to live under a rock not to know this. But it sounds like they're taking steps to ensure that people can't ruin your game. He hasn't said exactly how exactly, other than giving incentives for solo play and PvP. It sounds like they're still working this part of it out. And we'll probably go through various evolutions through the beta version as they work out what works and what doesn't in light of user feedback. So it's hard to tell right now just how it's going to work. And unfortunately, the interviewer didn't ask him about servers or how that will work. I was hoping for more info on that. But at this time, it doesn't look like we'll be able to have our own private servers, unfortunately. However, that may change in the future, and I'll come back to that in a moment, but first I want to talk about mods. Later in the interview, they do talk about mods and whether or not Fallout 76 will have them. And a lot of people are saying that it won't have mods because it's an online game, but in fact, it will have mod support, just not at launch. Here is what Todd Howard has to say about it.
We love mods, and so we are 100% committed to doing that in 76 as well.
Okay.
We will not be able to do that at launch, though.
Yep.
You know, our goal for launch, this is really new for us, is have a well-running, robust service, and then some period later, we're currently still designing what that service looks like. You'll be able to have your own private world and be able to mod it and do all of that. We think with our games, that's where like the long-term life of them really is.
Yeah.
That is trickier when you get into an online world, but we're definitely committed to that, just won't be at launch.
So I've read a ton of comments from incensed people saying that Bethesda doesn't care about the modding community and they're going to do away with mods in their games entirely. And from what Todd Howard just said, this is obviously not true. They know that the extended life of their games depends on mods. They've always been in support of mods, and that's not going to change. Fallout 76 won't have mod support at launch, but they are working on getting that figured out. They first want to have a grounded working game, and since the game will be changing a lot at the beginning, they want to wait on the mods part of it, which makes sense. Now, he didn't say exactly how mods will work in the game, and maybe they don't even know for sure yet themselves, whether it's going to be Creation Club only, or Creation Club and Bethesda.net, or will they allow third-party mods from like the Steam Workshop or Nexus community. We don't know yet, and it sounds like they don't even know yet. He did say that they're working on a way to have mods in your own private world, so that even hints that one day, maybe not at launch, but one day we might get a fully single-player option. I'm hoping that's what it means, but we'll be finding out more about all that in the future, but I'm hopeful. Mods are definitely not off the table, so that's good news at least. But let's not get all worked up over whether or not they'll be paid or free or whatever. It's too soon to say one way or another. And jumping to conclusions will just get you upset. Let's just ride the wave as Bethesda experiments and perfects this new style of game. I mean, this is the first game that they're doing something like this in, so of course it's not going to be perfect right out of the gate, and if you expect it to be, then you're going to get to be very disappointed and angered probably. But if you continue to look at Fallout 76 as a work in progress even after launch, then you just might enjoy it for what it is, knowing that if you don't like something or something doesn't work, chances are it might get fixed in various updates. And here's what Todd Howard has to say about improving the game.
Do you see this as sort of, a game as a service where there's going to be content, there's going to be endgame raids? I mean, is it like, are you treating it like this, where it's sort of going to continue to evolve over time?
Absolutely. With this, there's so much in it. That's the other thing. We always do too much stuff, and there's so much in this game that once we find out, here's what the players like, or here's what they're missing and they want, since we've built a system, our plan is to be adding into the game constantly, tweaking it, and have that, long-term interaction with all of our fans.
So this is really good news. Once Bethesda starts getting feedback from the fans about what they like or don't like, or what they think is missing, or what works or doesn't work, they're going to be updating the game constantly with changes to perfect the experience and the playability. And it sounds like they're planning on supporting this game for years to come. So I'm really happy to hear that. If there's something about the game that we just absolutely hate, we have a voice to get it changed. Nothing is set in stone. They're going to listen to us. That's what they said. So now Todd Howard also talked a little bit about quests and the story. He didn't give anything away story-wise, of course, but here is what he did have to say.
Even if you're playing by yourself doing quests, you will see other players.
Okay.
And you can interact with them, you can ignore them, because there is a quest line. One of the main things that I saw feedback was when we say there are no NPCs. Okay, so that's one of the big differences that we really leaned on, which is every character you see is a real person. But there are still robots and terminals and holotapes. If you see a lot of the quests we do in Fallout 4 that are kind of this found world quest thing, we still do all of that. But then, so if you sort of picture doing those quests, or you watch someone play Fallout 4, it's like that. But then, as opposed to running into a gang of raiders, those are real players.
So he confirmed that indeed there will be no NPCs other than robots, which I've seen a lot of arguments about. Some people saying that no, there won't be NPCs, and others saying yes, there will. I'm telling you, there is such a war going on right now over this game, it's ridiculous. So, but Todd Howard has the final word. There will be no NPCs, but there will be quests and a main quest. We still don't know exactly what that fully entails, but it sounds like it's going to be more like paper trail type quests where you find clues and follow them, read notes and holotapes, that sort of thing. It sounds like you'll have to roleplay this game intensely and pretty much make up your own story. I know that won't appeal to a lot of people, but for me this is awesome, actually, because in Bethesda games I actually prefer to just make up my own story. I mean, I enjoy the quests and the main story in the first few times I play, don't get me wrong, but after 2 or 3 playthroughs, I get bored with the game's story and quests, and usually avoid them in subsequent playthroughs, instead making up my own character, my own story for my character, making up their goals and whatnot. This was harder to do in Fallout 4, but in Skyrim it's all I do anymore. I haven't played the main quest or the faction quests in Skyrim for about 12 characters now, excluding my Let's Play, of course. Anyway, it will be interesting to see how they implement this to make it interesting, because right now, with so little information to go on, it's kind of hard to imagine. So moving on, there's one more piece of information revealed in the interview, and that is concerning Vats. I think everyone has been wondering how VATS can possibly work in an online game, and I've seen so many people just blatantly say there won't be VATS, even though they have no way to possibly know that. And you know what? People who just blatantly say things as if you're some kind of expert, why don't you just take a chill pill and step back for a moment, alright? Stop spreading lies and rumors based on nothing but your own uninformed opinion. These are the kinds of people who start toxic comment wars, and for what? Let's just try to stick with the facts. Speculate all you want, sure, but don't spread lies and rumors. That just ruins it for anyone. Anyways, VATS will be in the game, although it will be a little different. Here's what Todd Howard has to say about it.
A lot of people are wondering, VATS obviously in an online environment, how is that going to be accomplished?
Still there.
Okay,
it's real time.
So it's real time VATS.
Yeah.
Okay. Not slowing time, really?
Well, it doesn't slow time.
Right, yeah.
But it lets you target and pick parts and all of that, but it's in real time. It still works great.
Yep.
It's different, obviously, because it's real time.
Yeah.
But the basics of it, which are, well, I'm not that good of a Twitch shooter.
Yep.
You see some other games. What's a good reference point? I won't even mention it. People will dig into it too much.
Right.
But you can kind of picture how it works.
Like,
I'm not as good at lining up someone and getting a headshot, but I've made my character good at VATS. Oh, and now I can do that.
So it will be interesting to see how that works. VATS will be in real time, meaning the world won't slow down while you're in VATS like it does in Fallout 4. And that means that VATS will be a lot harder to use too, which I think is actually a good thing in an online game because it has less chance to be overpowered. When you've got other players rushing at you, you might not have time to use VATS before they reach you or whatever. So I think that probably most people might just opt to not use it. I mean, I probably won't use it very often. Even in Fallout 4, I don't like using it unless it's the only way I can win, but I usually prefer to use my own skills to aim. It makes the game more challenging for me. VATS can be super overpowered anyway, and yeah. But I know there are some people who can't play the game without it, so at least there will be the option, even though it might be harder to use than in past games, simply because of the real-time effect. So, we'll just have to wait for launch and see just how that will work and how efficient it will be. Anyway, you guys, that is all the information that was revealed in the interview concerning Fallout 76. They also talked a little bit about the new Starfield title and the new Elder Scrolls 6, which I'm also going to do a little trailer analysis for soon. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know. So if you want to know more about those things in the interview, I'll leave the link to the interview in the description below so you can go watch the whole thing for yourself. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about all this new information. Does it relieve some of your concerns or does it only increase them? I want to hear your thoughts, so leave them down below. Remember to give this video a like and I will see you in more upcoming videos about Fallout 76 real soon. Until then, guys, remember to play safe, play nice, and have fun. Bye.